You're now watching the Mike Missanelli podcast on the BetRivers Network.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Missanelli podcast. It is Monday, February 12th, which means it's the day after the Super Bowl. So we're going to talk a lot about this Super Bowl and what happened, including all the fanfare that the Super Bowl delivered, overtime. It was great drama. The whole thing, I think, worked yesterday for people who stayed up that late to watch the actual conclusion. Of course, the Mike Missanelli podcast is brought to you by BetRivers, the great people at BetRivers. And I don't know if you placed any bets on the Super Bowl. I'm sure you did. A lot of people save their money for the last football game of the year where they load up on the Super Bowl. And we told you last week that the Chiefs were the play, and they wound up winning. And I don't know how. They were outplayed mostly the whole game. But we'll talk about the bets. We'll talk about all the prop bets that we put out there last week, which ones came through, all that kind of thing. The over-under, I believe, was 47. It hit it right on the nose. And the Chiefs wind up winning again. I got a bow to Andy Reid. I had not been a big fan of Andy Reid from his time here in Philadelphia. And I know that, he created a pretty good era of football here in Philadelphia. Something about him that just didn't resonate with me. But he goes to Kansas City, the perfect environment for the guy. And he's carved out a Hall of Fame coaching career. And I bowed to him. But I also bowed to him for being lucky enough to have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. If you have a quarterback that can make magic, you become a very good coach. Now, he's a very good coach. His schemes are really good. He hires good assistants. He's got Matt Nagy in there now on the offensive side, and he's got Steve Spagnuolo on the defensive side who came through again for him. But you can't argue with his resume now, and he's going to continue to coach, I guess, because, I don't know, what would he do if he's not coaching? I mean, he's a coach, and he's going to stay there forever, probably till he's 70 years old. So let's look at the game. First of all, Mahomes. When you need something to happen, he's there to make it happen. So in overtime, the 49ers kick a field goal, and I go, you had to score a touchdown there, Skippy. And Mahomes takes him right down the field, 75 yards, 13 plays with a beautifully designed play. That touchdown play was beautifully designed because it almost, with the way Kelsey ran that pattern, it almost acted like a pick, and you kind of got lost in the shuffle with Mecole Hardman, and all of a sudden he's wide up. Just a beautifully designed play, and you appreciate that kind of thing after you watch the Eagles season and didn't see any great design plays. So the Chiefs, I don't like the Chiefs. I don't like to see them win. It especially irritates me that in this city, there is a Chiefs fan base and a Kansas City Chiefs bar in the heart of South Philadelphia, which I don't understand. But they win the game on a game-winning touchdown in overtime. You couldn't ask for anything more. If you're televising the game, you couldn't ask for anything more of the drama. Now, for most of the game, I'm looking at the game and I'm going, well, San Francisco looks like the better team. And all of a sudden I look at the board and they're only up 10-3. And I'm going, they should be up by a lot more. They're playing this game a lot better than the Chiefs. They're only up 10-3. Then they go double digits. And there's this really crazy statistic about when Patrick Mahomes throws with double digits, he usually comes back and wins the game. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I got to credit Spagnuolo because he limited the 49ers from scoring a lot of points. They were moving the football up and down. Christian McCaffrey fumbled away. The first drive looked like going to be a touchdown drive. And Spagnuolo always had the second and third down defenses that curtailed them, where they didn't put a lot of points on the board, and it kept Kansas City in the game. And, of course, there was the punt return blunder. And I know there's a lot of people that look at the punt return and they go, well, you can't blame the guy, Darrell Luter, for, he has his back to the play, the ball hits his heel, what are the chances of that? But here's who I can blame. Ray McLeod. What is he trying to do? Pick the ball up there. He saw the play. He reacted before anybody did. He saw it hit his teammate's heel. Cover the freaking football up. At that point, what are you doing trying to pick it up? So a lot of people are looking at that guy. You don't look at the main culprit. You got to cover the football there if you're Ray McLeod. And that leads to a one-play touchdown for Kansas City. You gifted them 7. You just gifted them 7. They couldn't score a touchdown until that, and you gave them 7 points. There's also, of course, Travis Kelce's antics on the sideline. And I'm sitting there, and I saw it, and I go, that's Latrell Sprewell. Here, the Charles Speedwell came out of the locker room. He choked PJ Carlissimo. It was like, okay, no, it wasn't as bad as that. But my God, how in the world can you do that? You bump your coach and you get in his face like that. And the broadcast let it alone. You know, if that was a bad boy instead of Travis Kelce, who's the world's most popular man right now, I guarantee you that commentators would be talking about that. He got away unscathed by the broadcasting team for doing something like that. Conversely, the tight end in this matchup with the tight ends, there was a really interesting over-under yardage for George Kittle, and I said under. He stunk. What did he do in that game? He looked like he was like totally disengaged. Did he catch? What did he catch? 2 passes or one pass for 2 yards? Was something ridiculous. You can't be invisible in a game like that if you're a player like Kittle, and you have to find a way to get the ball to him if you're Shanahan. So I got to blame both those guys for not really being engaged. And here's the bottom line: a lot of people like to rip Brock Purdy. And I think it's misguided. He doesn't dazzle you with talent. I get it. But he makes some really good passes. But in a matchup against Patrick Mahomes, you lose. Right? It's really just as simple as that. You're not good enough to match up with Patrick Mahomes. And that was the bottom line. And the 49ers continue to lose in big spots. Now let's look at Mahomes and what he did, because his numbers passing the football were gaudy. But how about him running the ball? Running the ball broke their back. He ran for 23 yards on 2 carries on that final drive, including a 4th-and-1 conversion where they thought he was going to get the ball to Kelce, and he wisely kept it. He ran for 66 yards in the game with 1:53 left in regulation. He engineers an 11-play, 64-yard field goal tying drive. He's now 3-time MVP at age 28. He tied Joe Money, who was in the building last night. I don't know if anybody caught this or anybody knows the history of Joe Money's wife. Her name is Jennifer. He met her because he did, in his playing days, he did a Noxzema shaving cream commercial. And she was the blonde in the commercial who said, "That creamy," and splashed the shaving cream on his face. And he went up and married her. I don't know if anybody caught it, but she was there. And it's modeled from long ago in a commercial. There I go. There's this Noxzema girl. There
Mike,
she is.
I got a follow-up story to that about Joe Montana. And
yes, sir.
Wife. So as you know,
of course, this is producer Darren.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt you. I know.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Montana, when he was playing, they had phones on the sideline. You remember the Donovan McNabb where he ran over, picked up the phone, sideline phones where that's how back then they would talk to the coordinators in the booth. Well, he, in his younger days of playing, thought, I wonder if I can get an outside line here. And he hit 9, and it got him an outside line. So what he did was, this is during a game. He called his wife at home and said, "Hey, sweetheart, how you doing?" She's like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I got some time. The defense is out on the field." And that became a thing for him, and he would call her every game, road or home stadium. I always thought that was cool.
How about that? Yeah, and in that same commercial, I believe before that, it was Farrah Fawcett creaming Joe Namath in that commercial, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
but anyway, that's just a little side note that means really nothing, except when they shot the Joe Montana, I noticed that his wife Jennifer was right there. She still looks pretty good. She's aged like Christy Brinkley. The Chiefs have won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls, 2 in a row. Next year, they'll probably be favored to win another one. It's absolutely ridiculous as we sit here and struggle with a team that lost 6 of their last 7 games and look clueless and now have a defensive end who wants out. Anyway, in overtime, the strategy is interesting because the overtime rules were different than the regular season rules as far as who was going to get the ball. If you get the ball first, you score, the other team still gets a chance. Now, Kyle Shanahan took the ball, and I think he did the right thing. He took the ball, and his rationale was this. If he scores and they come down and they score, he's got the ball the 3rd time when the overtime shifts to sudden death. So he would have the chance to actually win the game without the other team coming back. And I guess he gave Mahomes a lot of credit, thinking that well, if we score, that guy's going to come back and score anyway. So the most important possession is the third one. And when you think about it, it made a lot of sense. But they only scored a field goal on the first drive. And in a game like that, if you take the ball, you better score a damn touchdown against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
Well, one thing to add to that, Mike, with the new playoff overtime rules that kicked in this year, even if the Niners scored a touchdown there, Kansas City would still get the ball. Both teams, regardless of scores, have to get the ball. So I know a lot of people didn't realize that. Probably people were freaking out. What's happening?
Yeah, well, that's what I said. The overtime rules were different. And so he looked at the third possession, and that was, I guess, pretty smart. But the 49ers said after the game that they didn't even know the new rules, that they weren't discussed with the team. I don't know if that should matter at all, because you go out on the field and freaking score or stop the other team. It's really all you have to remember. But the Chiefs apparently went over it for 2 weeks of preparation. And maybe that's overkill, but it just points out the level of preparation that Andy Reid has with his team. And after the game, he was very happy. He got hugs and kisses from everybody. He got to with his lovely wife Tammy on the stage there. You saw it, and unbelievably, Taylor Swift. I didn't think Taylor's security, was going to allow her on the field, and she's down on the field with Gaga eyes with Travis Kelce. Who, listen, man, I'm done with him. Okay, I took Jason Kelce in that Mummer speech. I got it because they won the Super Bowl for the first time in a really long time. City was jacked up. He had the Mummers thing on. All right, I'll tolerate that once. But now the brother tries to replicate it with a lot of bravado, and I'm sure the Kansas City Chiefs fans ate it up. But he's wearing on me. She doesn't wear on me. He wears on me. I don't know what it is. And I'm not even a big Taylor Swift
I wonder
fan.
why she doesn't wear on you.
No, I mean, listen, I really don't have a reaction to Taylor Swift. I really don't. The only reaction I have are the people that get bothered by the fact that the camera shoots up to her. And I look at it from a TV perspective, not from a Taylor Swift fan perspective. I go, that's a show. That's part of a storyline of a broadcast. So that's why you cut after her. But here's what I want. Like, who are all these people that are with her? Are these her friends that she invites in like, who are all these people? I know Brittany Mahomes is in there, but who are these other people that are hugging and kissing?
Blake Lively's one of them. She is friends with. They are friends.
I didn't see Blake Lively there, and I would have noticed
that. She was there the whole time. Yeah, but and that's
really?
Ryan Reynolds' wife, and they're all kind of friends with her.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I'm a fan,
but
that's why, like, I didn't notice her I would have because I'm a big fan. But who is the little curly-haired person, and like the really young-looking little blonde there? Like, who are these people?
Someone named Ice Spice. I guess she's an artist, a musical artist. I don't know.
Oh, Ice Spice is big. She was in a commercial. That was Ice Spice?
So. I know she was there. I don't know what she looks like. I know she was there.
Come on, man. You got to know who Ice Spice is. She's hotter than hot. You're such a country bumpkin, man. All right, so that was Ice Spice. I know Ice Spice. That's what I want to know. Who are these people? Now, Ice Spice, she had the little, the Annie Oakley wig on, the Annie wig on.
That's her.
She looked like Annie. All right, that was Ice Spice. All right, because she was also in a commercial. Okay, I got it. Now listen, it's classic high school girl giggly stuff, right? It's really all it is. It's not like adults watching a football game and being like they're all giddy and like it's like cheerleader-esque, which, all right, whatever. I guess they're young enough to pull that off, but I just wonder how many, like, who are these people that are in there, because the cast seems to change, and I'm wondering if, like, she has power to invite as many people as she wants into the suite. I know how difficult it is to get into a suite, but I guess if you're Taylor Swift, more to come on in. Yeah, whatever. You're for Taylor. Come on in. I know you don't have a ticket, but come on in.
Plus, that's not even the Kansas City home game. That's Vegas. She has carte blanche.
All right. Okay. Good job by Taylor. All right, let's look at some the fanfare of the game is spectacular. So let's look at some of the pregame stuff. The CBS broadcast opened with a tribute that a lot of people thought was excellent with the My Way and the whole bit. I have a tendency to look at those things as over dramatic, and I know people really dig it because they're romanticized with football. Those things don't move me as much as other people. Did it move you, Darren?
It didn't move me nearly as much as the vodka drink I had in my hand. Let's say that.
All right. And then the pregame stuff, the anthems and all that stuff. I didn't think Post Malone dazzled with America the Beautiful. And I know you're a big Post
He
fan,
wasn't. Yeah, he didn't
but
blow me away.
it was kind of like boring what he did, America the
Yeah, I
Beautiful.
wasn't
No?
overly excited about his performance either.
All right. Let's get to the big topic, the halftime show. There are a lot of people that get wowed and were wowed by Usher and company's performance of the halftime show, and they say, "Well, it was the best one ever." People have a tendency, I think, to when they see something right away, they automatically put that in their brain as the best. I thought it was okay. I wasn't overly wowed by it. I think that interestingly enough, that Usher is not a big enough name to not share the stage with anybody. Like he couldn't have carried 15 minutes. What he did was interesting, and I know he added a little prop, which won him points with a lot of people because they paid tribute to the Atlanta kind of hip hop roller skating thing. In Atlanta, that's a big thing down there, so he paid tribute to that in Big A. But he had to share the stage with a lot of performers, and he brought out Alicia Keys, and he brought out Lil Jon, and Ludacris makes an appearance, and Jermaine Dupri, and will.i.am, and one of my personal favorites, her. She can wail some guitar, that her. But that's 6 other acts in that whole thing. So I think while it was well choreographed and I think it was well planned and it was interesting, I think it's an indication that, like, if you throw somebody like Prince out there, he's gonna carry that thing. A guy like Usher is gonna need some help. Do you agree?
Totally agree. And I thought the best part of the halftime show was Alicia. She looks spectacular in red. I think she's gorgeous.
Yeah, I do too.
Before anything. So, and I thought she looked great in that red dress. But again, I thought
Yes.
as far as a spectacle, it should have been bigger. It's Vegas. Should have been bigger. It was a little for me.
Okay. Yeah, I know when he first came out, he's on the field, and they got a lot of dancers on the field. And I go, they're gonna rip this field up here, and then finally, I thought the whole thing was going to be done on the field. I'm going, this can't be good for the football. But then they got the stages. It's amazing the way they put that whole thing together and choreograph it, and the sound text and all that thing. So I'll give a thumbs up to the show. I can't really rank Super Bowl shows because I think we have a tendency, our brains get muddy. And the last one we see, we go, that was very good. That had to be the best. It's like you watch that game last night and you go, wow, that was the best Super Bowl ever, when it really wasn't. It was good, but it's hard to rank because your memory plays tricks on you. Okay, so now let's look at our commercials. And I know this is a big thing with a lot of people. It's really difficult to tell who are the good commercials and which ones are, because it's so subjective when you look at these commercials. Like, did you see one commercial that you thought was way better than the rest? And let me guess what you're going to say. You're going to say the Christopher Walken one was the best because you like Christopher Walken.
I do love Walken.
And you thought the parody of that whole thing was good. That was your number one. Am I right?
I don't really have a number one yesterday, but I did enjoy that one. That's one of the few I enjoyed. I liked, I'm a big Deadpool guy, so the trailer, the twister, or the teaser for the trailer kind of was amusing to me. But other than that, there's nothing really that stood out to me. I mean, the one with the guy and his daughter and the connection, I guess usually those types of commercials move me because I'm a sap with my kids.
The one with the where he took her little skater daughter to the grandma's house.
No, he's on the couch.
He's trying
to get her to watch the game. She's listening to Taylor Swift, and then he starts to listen to Taylor and does she's doing her makeup. They get involved. He shows her that Taylor's part of the game, and then they at the end of the commercial they're watching the game together. What he wanted.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one where the guy, the grandma missed the girl's performance, and he took her to the grandmom's house in his Kia, and she skated on the ice in front of it, and grandma was looking out the window. I
missed that one.
That got me a little bit. And also, I thought the Google Pixel commercial with the sight impaired gentleman, and they showed how clear he could see it through the Google Pixel phone was,
Yeah,
was
that was
pretty
good.
good. But like, I'm going to go to the New York Times here, and they obviously like the walking one. They like the Mountain Dew one with Aubrey Plaza flat affects her way through life with the help of a carbonated citrus beverage. Here's the thing about like commercials. I wanted to stay glued to every commercial, but I couldn't because I get itchy. And I'll go to the bathroom or I'll go into the kitchen and go grab a snack. So I'll miss the commercials that way. So and I'm not really like sitting there grading every one. Now there's one for Squarespace with the aliens come to Earth and they can't get their attention until that when Martin Scorsese is in a limo.
Yeah, he
not
directed it.
I think that was it. I think it was great. Lynn to the chocolate ball hops around the world to Perry Como's Round and Round. A Quiet Place Day One, and the Peter Young's face an alien invasion, and a prequel film to John Krasinski's A Quiet Place. There was the Dunkin' Donuts commercial, which a lot of people like, where Ben Affleck tried to impress Jennifer Lopez. He busted in on her session with a lot of Boston dudes, Matt Damon, Tom Brady, the whole bit. A lot of people like that Dunkin' Donuts one. There was the let's see, BetMGM with Tom Brady, Vince Vaughn trying to get people who are not Tom Brady not allowed to use the betting service because he's won so too much, and so he's picking. And then Brady at the end looks up and he sees. He says, "I thought it would be bigger," like big tribute to him. Brady was in a lot of commercials, and it kind of worked for him. Then you had Cardi B rapping about the lip gloss with the NYX Cosmetics, the apartments.com, where I don't like that guy. What's his name? Eugene Levy's son, who's on
Steve. Is it Steve? No,
Schitt's Creek.
I forget.
But I really like Heidi Gardner. And they paired up to do this apartments.com thing. Well, Jeff Goldblum was in the apartments.com, but the spinoff was the homes.com that they were doing. And there was, let's see, the Kia commercial. It was the Kia commercial with the pop-up ice rink, the Coors Light train. There was a Volkswagen with the Beetle, the Doritos, Verizon with Beyonce. A lot of people like that one. The cold brew, the fizzy. What is that new soda that they're trying to go against Sprite? That was mildly amusing.
I know what you're talking about. It's like one word.
All right, so none of them really stood out to you. How about the Zach Bratt and Donald Faison joining Jason Momoa for a Flashdance thing? I thought that wasn't bad.
Nah,
you see that one?
Three. See, my problem with Super Bowl commercials is I go to the same place every year. I go to my uncle's house. There's a ton of people. There's a few TVs throughout the house that has low volume, and then there's a projector in the big room on a sheet, and that's where I stand. So I can't always hear them. And so it's tough with a lot of noise, a lot of people. I'm gonna guess you were relaxing alone with a cigar watching the game.
Okay. Did you notice Agent State Farm, Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes, I saw that one before the Super Bowl. They kind of
where he's doing it in his own accent. Well, that's mildly amusing. Agent State Farm. I mean, I didn't that I wasn't bothered by that. You had the Clydesdales out of retirement.
That's a great
coming out
visual.
through the snow.
Love the Clydesdales.
They delivered a wagon of beer. You had the Dove commercial where the young female athletes fail and then they try again and they come back. Right. Ice Spice was in the Starry commercial. Starry was the soda.
That's what it is. Starry, yeah.
They're talking about hanging out at the club, and she was ambushed by her ex, the generic lemon lime soda, which is supposed to be Sprite.
I'm a mellow yellow guy.
That was Ice Spice, in case you don't know it. And CeraVe commercial. Now, I happen to use CeraVe. I'm not too masculine to admit the moisturizer. I like the moisturizer, CeraVe. And Michael Cera, the perfect combination to advertise for CeraVe.
I live with 3 women. There's a CeraVe bottle in every room in my home.
Well, and you don't use it?
I use
on your ashy legs?
I use I forget the name of the brand I use. I use a different brand.
Listen, I don't like Ken Jeong. He bothers me. And he was in the commercial that a lot of people like for Popeyes. I don't like him. Therefore, I did not like the commercial. There was Chris Pratt was in a commercial. There was the Bass Pro Shops commercial advertising the Bass Tracker fishing boat, and I'm in.
I know a guy who won the Bassmasters Challenge once. That's all.
Oh, that guy from Jersey? Oh, I know that guy, Mike Uzzolini.
He's friends with my cousin. He went to high school with my cousin.
All right, and then there was one of there was another one that I liked, and I can't remember what it was, but it had some stars in it. The Uber Eats, where she forgets. Yeah, Jennifer Aniston forgets about David Schwimmer, and there were other things that like the reality wasn't reality. It was like, I wish I could. And Usher was also in that. All right, so there you go with the commercials. Now let's look at some prop bets here. Super Bowl prop bets and the results and outcomes, whether you had it or not. And we looked at some of these that we thought were good bets. So first of all, by the way, Lionel Messi commercial I thought was pretty good. Anything? The keg was kicked, and so he had to kill some time until they put the new keg in for him to get a beer. And he's on the beach, and somebody throws him a soccer ball, and he out footworks the whole beach. You see that one?
I saw. That's one of the ones that leaked out before the Super Bowl, so I saw that prior.
Okay, all right. So you saw the Messi one. All right, here we go. Pre-game props, coin flip. If you had heads, you were a winner. If you had Reba McEntire going over 86.5 seconds, you were a winner. And if you had Taylor Swift not being shown on the CBS broadcast during the national anthem, you were a winner there. Halftime show props. First song, you don't have to call. If you had that, you were a winner. Last song, yeah. And then Usher did not wear sunglasses during his halftime performance. First guest performer, I don't know how you could have predicted this, but Alicia Keys was the first guest performer, and total songs performed were over 8.5. Let's see. Player props. First touchdown score. A lot of people had to have this one. Christian McCaffrey was the first touchdown scorer. Anytime scorers. Of course, McCaffrey, Juwan Jennings, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Mecole Hardman. Patrick Mahomes, if you had the over on touchdown, he went over on everything. Over 1.5 touchdowns, over 262.5 yards, over 36.5, over 26.5 yards rushing, over 12.5 yards longest rush. Yeah, that was an easy one. I know we were arguing about that. I thought he would break out for like 23 yards. And over 0.5 interceptions was Patrick Mahomes. Brock Purdy, of course, was under 1.5 touchdowns and over 247, over 30.5 pass attempts, under 12.5 rushing yards. I thought that would go over, so I was wrong on that. And George Kittle, I went under on that total 50.5, and it turned out to be, he had 6? That's ridiculous, Kittle. You should be ashamed of yourself, man.
Yeah, he had 2 for 4 yards, I think.
2 catches for 4 yards in the Super Bowl? Yeah. Oh, my God. Isaiah Pacheco went under 65.5 yards rushing, but Christian McCaffrey went under 91.5 yards rushing. The defenses were really impressive. It was like watching a pitcher's duel in the first half with the defenses, the way they got out of there. And, of course, Super Bowl MVP, a lot of people probably have Patrick Mahomes. And the Gatorade color, out of the blue, comes purple on the Gatorade color for Andy Reid. Let's see. First penalty of the game was a false start. The iconic Las Vegas landmark seen on the broadcast first. I don't know how you could have gotten this one, but it was the Luxor Pyramid, the Sphinx out there.
That hotel is a dump. I stayed in it once for work. It's the worst hotel I've ever stayed in my life. Go ahead.
All right. By the way, speaking of Vegas, one of the times I was there, I covered a lot of events in Vegas, covered a couple fights, covered a couple basketball games at the Thomas and Mack Center. And one time I was there, I don't remember what the event was I was covering, but I strolled into a Rite Aid drugstore to get something. And I pull in, and this Roadster, this homemade kit Roadster, if you remember those things, really gaudy looking, and they're assembled by mechanic, whatever. And this Roadster is pulling out of its parking space. So I roll in, and I'm kind of waiting for the Roadster to pull out. The Roadster turns around and starts mother effing me and F you and me. I guess who it was? Red Fox. Red Fox was throwing the F-bomb at me for some reason. He thought I was impeding on his way. He's backing out of his space and started F-bombing me. How about that?
Great story. I wish I did a good Red Fox impersonation. Can't do him.
Oh,
no,
you did?
I said
You
I wish
to?
I could. He's so
yeah. Well, all you gotta do is throw the F-bomb in sequence.
a gravelly voice.
Elizabeth, I'm coming for you. What a great show!
Oh, the best.
But every time I would look at Red Fox, I go, that dude cursed me out in the parking lot of a Rite Aid in Vegas. All right. I guess that's it for football. Anything to add, Darren, on the Super Bowl?
Two things. The Chiefs beat the 49ers with the same play they beat the Eagles on at the end of the game. They call it corn dog. And they pulled it out again, and they beat them on the same play. I thought that was really interesting. You brought up the Chiefs bar in Philly earlier in the show. That bar, the legend of that bar, because you're like, why is that bar there? The legend of that bar is that the owner, when he was a kid, wanted a new bike for Christmas. And his dad was a gambler. And his dad said, if the red team wins, you get a new bike for Christmas. The red team was the Chiefs. They won. He got a new bike for Christmas. He was a Chiefs fan ever since.
See, this is the kind of story that I used to blanch at when I was doing radio, and people say, I'm a fan of the Chiefs because when I was 4, my mommy bought me foot pajamas and it had the Dallas Cowboy star on it. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I got.
Okay, let's move on to our 76ers. Now that it looks like the roster, you can't look at it now. They did win against the Washington Wizards to break that scheme. But we're going to fast forward. And the hope is, like this, that everything will work out perfectly because Joel Embiid is going to come back. So here is, they actually have a 10-man rotation. Now, I don't know if they'll employ 10 people, but I'm going to throw the lineup at you, and you tell me whether you think this is a promising playoff lineup. Of course, your starters will be Tyrese Maxey and Buddy Hield, Embiid, Tobias Harris, and most likely Nick Batum at the 4 spot. You always need a guy who's a garbage man who stays out of the way. So Batum is like the Mark Ivoroni of this team. All right, now on the bench, Kyle Lowry is going to be signed. Will be your backup point guard. Does he have anything left? He's 107. He may have like 10 to 15 minutes left. He may be able to make a 3, take a charge. That's what he does. The backup to him is Cameron Payne. When his first night, had a good shooting night. And here's the thing about Cameron Payne. He's better than Jaden Springer. All right? He can at least make a shot. All right? That's a Cameron Payne. But he's like the backup to the backup. Kelly Oubre off the bench. He's a mutt. I don't like him a little bit. Melton's going to come back. Hopefully, he's got a back situation. Who knows when you come back from a back situation? Reid and Covington and Payne. So there's 11. He'll probably play 9. I don't know who the 9 will be. Covington probably won't get any run. So there you go. I gave you 11 players right there. That's the best case scenario. If they're all healthy, that's your 76er team, and it goes into the playoffs. Darren, what do you think?
I think they're going to have to score 140 points a game because I don't know who's going to play defense on the team.
Yeah, well, you got something there because Maxey and Hield are going to give it up to really good backcourt.
You're going to have to light it up because they're not going to.
Yeah, and Lowry, he's 30. Yeah, he's 38.
37,
how much defense you counting on? Melton can D up a little bit. Oubre can't guard your mother. Paul Reed still doesn't know what the hell's going on out there.
I don't want to hear any more filth about my mother.
Beat up. People go, well, he's a great 3-and-D guy. Like, at this point, he can't even walk Covington. All right, so you can tell I'm down on the prospects because I don't even know if Embiid's coming back, to be honest with you. Okay, so we'll just keep that on hold for the time being as the Sixers try to waste out the rest of the season. And I don't know what seed they'll get, but they're going to have to climb uphill because they'll lose a lot of games with no Embiid in the lineup. So it's going to be a tougher climb than being, having home court advantage by finishing in the top 4. And that's not going to happen. All right, let's move on to the Eagles. So some news hit. Hassan Reddick all of a sudden comes out of the blue. and the Eagles are going to grant him permission to seek a trade. What do you make of this other than he sees the sinking ship and he wants to get out? And I know this is more about money than that, but to me, that's not a good sign that a guy wants out when a new defensive coordinator is coming in, and maybe he thinks he can't fit that well in Fangio's system. But what do you make of it, Mr. Football?
I think it's a lot more simple than that. He makes about $15-16 million a year. He wants $25 million a year. Well, the problem with that is that guys at his position who make $25 million a year, you can move up and down the defensive line. You can line him up over a guard. You can line him in the A gap. You can line him over the right tackle. He has one move when he's successful. It's from the left end only. It's a speed rush, and he does what's called the bend. We've mentioned it here before. He's able to bend his body down and get underneath the tackle. And he's really good at it. But that's about all he can do. So I think, and by the way, this happens every offseason. There are players in the NFL in the last year of their contract that want a raise. The team goes, well, I don't know that I can give you a raise. But if you want to go out, seek a trade, maybe somebody will give you that money. And if we can get adequate compensation, we'll move you. Same thing happened with Darius Slay last year. He went out, found the market wasn't there for him, came back to the Eagles. They said, we'll give you some more incentives, and he stayed. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Reddick, but it's certainly possible.
Well, listen, if they lose Reddick, who like, they're going to have to get three pass rushers somewhere along the line.
Bleed out. It's a total bleed out.
It's ridiculous how weak they are at this situation right now.
And the other guy up is Josh Sweat. He's got like another one. We're going to pay him. He does not. He gives me
Josh
nothing.
Sweat right now. You got Josh Sweat. And you got Brandon Graham, for crying out loud. All right. Now, okay. That's
if Reddick goes, your number one priority in the draft may shift from cornerback to defensive end like that. So that's a problem.
Yeah, it's not looking good. That's a shame. But that's the way it goes. Interestingly enough, last night I watched the real defensive end, the 30 for 30. I watched for the first time. The one on Reggie White, the minister of defense, was on last night.
Heard it's really good. Is it good?
Yeah, I watched most of it because I'm in it, and I did see my part in it. And I got to tell you, I was spectacular. All right.
I would expect nothing less from you.
I blew the doors off with my performance in that Reggie White, the minister of defense, in 30-30. If you get a chance to see it, I'm on the screen for exactly 2.5 seconds. But in those 2.5 seconds,
killed it.
I destroyed it. But anyway, I have to laugh because he used to get the offensive tackles. He used to get them on their leverage and then just swish him over with his right hand. Just toss him over with his left hand and make him beeline to the quarterback. Now that was a player, and that was the best defensive end, in my opinion, in the history of the NFL. And that means we'll close it down for today. Thanks everybody for watching. Mike Missanelli Podcast brought to you by BetRivers. I like this one. I had fun today. Thanks, Darren. We appreciate it. Again, you can get me on email, mike@mikemiss.com. I'd love to hear your feedback. You can check me out on Twitter, MikeMiss25. I want to find that Jay Driscoll guy who told me to hang myself. I need him. I need to find out the identity of this guy because I don't want to like hurt him or anything, or I don't want to hire anybody to shoot him. What I want to do is try to appeal to what makes him tick, that he would send me some kind of a tweet like that. That's all. I just want to understand. I want to understand some human behavior. All right. So please help me out with that. And I guess that's about it. If you want a personal shout out, I gave a shout out yesterday to a birthday for today. So happy birthday. And you can get me on cameo.com. Put my name in there. I'll give you a personal shout out. I have a lot of fun with them. And I think you'll like them. Anything else, Darren? Did we miss anything?
Back later this week. That's about
Back
it.
later this week with, I don't know what.
We might get it's pitchers and catchers on Wednesday, Mike. We can do a little baseball talk, maybe.
This is kind of a bleak time now when the football is over and, the waning days of the NBA till you get to the playoffs and then spring training. So this is kind of nothingville. So it's going to be on us to entertain you with a great podcast, which we will hit on
it's a big ask.
later this week.
That's
Have a great day, everybody. Watch for that snow coming a little later tonight. Get the shovels out and be safe. All right, take care. Mike Missanelli Podcast saying see ya.